Welcome to the Creative Commons RX podcast. Before diving into this episode, I want to ensure we're all on the same page. This is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice. No doctor-patient or pharmacist-patient relationship is formed. Using this information and the materials linked to this podcast is at the user's risk. The content on this podcast is not intended to substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Clinical experts created the references, content, and clinical insight. NotebookLM, a Google AI tool, created the audio content, which I extensively reviewed before release. Finally, the host states that he takes all conflicts of interest seriously. Currently, there are no conflicts to disclose. For all of his disclosures and the companies he invests in or advises, he directs users to reach out independently, where he keeps an up-to-date and active list of all disclosures.
You know, the world of modern medicine is just incredible. We have these amazing drugs called biologics, complex molecules that come from living things. But with so many new biosimilars and interchangeable products hitting the market, things are getting, well, a little crowded. For anyone in healthcare, knowing how to navigate this landscape isn't just a good idea, it's absolutely essential for keeping our patients safe. So that really brings us to the core question, doesn't it? How on earth do we keep patients safe when these super powerful medicines have names that look and sound almost identical? Because a mix-up here could be a really big deal. Thankfully, there's a whole system designed to prevent exactly that. And that solution is a framework we can think of as the 3 pillars of safe biologic management. First, there's the naming system itself. Second, there's the official rulebook called the Purple Book. And third, it's all about how you put this knowledge into practice. This is going to be our roadmap for the next few minutes.
Okay, so let's jump right into Pillar 1, cracking the naming code. You see, the names the FDA gives to these biologics aren't just a random bunch of letters. Nope, it's a very deliberate, structured language, and it's our first line of defense against medication errors.
So here's the basic anatomy of a biologic's non-proprietary name. It's a simple 2-part system, stuck together with a hyphen. You've got a core name, and that's followed by a unique 4-letter suffix. You can kind of think of it like a first and last name, designed so there's absolutely no confusion. The first part, the core name, that's the shared part. Take adalimumab, for instance. The original reference product, Humira, and all of its biosimilars share that core name. This tells a pharmacist or a doctor right away that, hey, all these products are related. They have the same active ingredient. It groups them together like a family.
Now for the second part, that 4-letter suffix. And here's what's so clever about it. It is intentionally meaningless. It's not an abbreviation for the company or anything like that. It's just a unique, lowercase fingerprint that makes sure you can tell one specific product from another, and that helps prevent mix-ups and accidental substitutions.
But, you know, systems like this don't just stay the same forever. For one of the biggest and most important classes of biologics, monoclonal antibodies, the naming convention actually had to change. Why? Well, the old system was kind of becoming a victim of its own success, and that was creating a whole new kind of risk. And this table really shows you what I'm talking about. Before 2021, every new monoclonal antibody had a name that ended with the stem MAB. The problem was, with over 800 products all ending the same way, the chances of a look-alike, sound-alike error were just going through the roof. So in 2021, they updated the system. They got rid of the MAB stem for new drugs and replaced it with 4 new, much more descriptive stems.
Let's take a look at how these new stems make things clearer. 2 of the new ones are TUG and BART. If you see a name ending in TUG, it tells you it's an unmodified immunoglobulin, basically a natural full-length antibody. But a name ending in BART tells you it's an artificial immunoglobulin, one that's been engineered. Right away, the name itself gives you critical info about its structure.
And it doesn't stop there. The other 2 new stems add even more clarity. You've got MIG for multi-immunoglobulin, which means it can hit more than one target at a time. And MENT tells you it's just a fragment of an antibody, not the whole thing. Embedding this level of detail right into the name, that's a huge win for safety.
So this new system sounds great, right? But there's a catch, a real-world complication. The FDA decided not to go back in time and add suffixes to biologics that were approved before this new rule. This creates something called naming asymmetry. So you could have an older product like Filgrastim with no suffix sitting right next to its biosimilar, Filgrastim-SND, which does have one. The risk here is all about perception, that the one without the suffix is the real deal, which can create an unfair hurdle for adopting biosimilars.
Okay, so we've cracked the naming code. Let's move on to Pillar 2, the authoritative Purple Book. If the name is the language we're speaking, then the Purple Book is the official dictionary and rulebook. It is the single source of truth for every licensed biologic in the U.S.
The Purple Book, which is officially called the Database of Licensed Biological Products, is a searchable online database run by the FDA. Its number one job is to define the legal and scientific relationship between products. It tells you, without a doubt, is this a reference biologic, a biosimilar, or an interchangeable biosimilar? No guesswork needed.
So if you're working in a real-world pharmacy or hospital, what are the absolute must-know data points in the Purple Book? Well, it really boils down to 3 things. The BLA, or Biologics License Application Number, is like a unique regulatory fingerprint for each product. The license type tells you if it's a reference or biosimilar, and the proper name gives you that full, unambiguous name, suffix and all. These 3 fields drive just about everything.
And all of this brings us to our final pillar, Pillar 3, Safe Pharmacy Operations. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's where we take all that naming theory and regulatory data from the Purple Book and build a real-world system that actually protects patients every single day. So the whole point is putting this knowledge into practice. A model standard operating procedure, or SOP, for handling these drugs is going to have 4 critical steps. 1. When you're ordering, you have to use the full proper name, suffix included. 2. When a shipment arrives, you verify that name plus the BLA and NDC numbers. 3. When you're storing them, you physically separate products that share a core name but have different suffixes. And 4, when you're dispensing, you use barcode scanning to make absolutely sure the product in your hand is the exact one on the prescription.
Now let's talk about something that trips up a lot of people. The difference between the federal rules and what actually happens on the ground, especially when we talk about substitution. This is where state law gets involved.
This slide lays out the difference perfectly. The FDA, that's the federal level, they handle the science. They're the ones who look at all the evidence and say, yes, this product is interchangeable. But the actual practice of a pharmacist substituting one for another, that's all governed by individual state boards of pharmacy. So the FDA says if it can be done, but state law decides how and when it can be done.
To make this super concrete, let's just use Texas law as an example. Down in Texas, a pharmacist can substitute an interchangeable biologic, but there are conditions. It has to cost the patient less, and the patient has to be told and has to agree to the switch. And what if a doctor wants to block a substitution? They have to physically handwrite brand necessary on the script. A little pre-printed checkbox on the form doesn't count.
And the Texas rules also include some really strict communication requirements. After making a substitution, the pharmacist has 3 business days to notify the prescriber, and that notification has to include the name of the product they dispensed and its manufacturer or NDC number. This makes sure the entire care team is always on the same page.
So, as we start to pull all these threads together, this quote really just nails it. It's not about any one of these things by itself. It's about synthesizing the naming convention, the Purple Book, and those safe operational protocols. That's what creates a powerful system that gives us all the benefits while keeping the risks as low as possible.
So to recap, mastering these 3 pillars is really a professional imperative. You've got to know the name, that's the language of biologics. You need to use the rule book, that's the Purple Book, and you absolutely have to follow the playbook, your institution's SOPs. When you get those 3 things right, you've built a truly robust system for patient safety.
And that leaves us with one last question to think about. This framework is fantastic for managing the complexity we're dealing with today. But let's be honest, the world of biologics is moving at lightning speed. So the real question we have to ask ourselves is this: are our systems, our protocols, and our commitment to learning ready for whatever innovations are coming tomorrow?
This is for general informational purposes only and does not constitute the practice of medicine, nursing, or other professional healthcare services, including the giving of medical advice. No doctor-patient or pharmacist-patient relationship is formed. Using this information and the materials linked to this podcast is at the user's risk. The content on this podcast is not intended to substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Users should not disregard or delay in obtaining medical advice from any medical condition they have, and they should seek the assistance of their healthcare professionals for any such conditions. Clinical experts created the references, content, and clinical insight. NotebookLM, a Google AI tool, created the audio content, which I extensively reviewed before release. Finally, The host states that he takes all conflicts of interest seriously. Currently, there are no conflicts to disclose. For all of his disclosures and the companies he invests in or advises, he directs users to reach out independently, where he keeps an up-to-date and active list of all disclosures.